cunning man. He knows just exactly what moves he's going to make. It appears to us that he is killing just for the thrill of killing.
A 17-year-old boy. Possibly they were ordered out of the car by the responsible. The boy was shot right at the side of the car, and the girl apparently tried to run. And she was shot and found 28 feet further on.
I considered him a robber. I had absolutely no thought that he was anything but that. I don't think that he was acting under his total complete consciousness.
A California killing spree that's captivated the world for decades. Now a group of sleuths claims to have solved the case of the infamous Zodiac killer.
Yeah, get this. They think that he was a man living in Tuolumne County the whole time who died just 3 years ago. Reporter Renee Santos on who they now believe was responsible for the Zodiac killings.
Yeah, this group also connects the Zodiac killer to a 55-year-old murder out of Riverside, California. And we just got off the phone with Riverside police who tell us there isn't a connection. The Case Breakers, a group whose website claims to be made up of retired law enforcement and military members, claims to have cracked the code in letters the Zodiac Killer wrote, identifying the killer as Gary Francis Post, who lived and worked as a painter in Groveland but died in 2018. The group alleges the man is responsible for the murder of Sherry Jo Bates. In 1967, Riverside police received a handwritten letter that led investigators to believe the murder was connected to the Zodiac, but in 2016, investigators received an anonymous letter from a person admitting what was written was a sick joke. Today, Riverside police are still investigating Bates' murder but are not connecting it to the Zodiac Killer. Meantime, police in Vallejo sent CBS 13 this statement regarding their Zodiac Killer case, the 1967 murders of Michael McGow and Darlene Farron, telling us the case remains under investigation. They add they are unable to confirm or deny the validity of the reports. Jim Jacks has spent his career on the Zodiac Task Force, working to identify the infamous killer.
There has not been a lot of new information developed over the last several years that I'm aware of.
And we made over a dozen calls to the family of the man this group has identified as that killer, but no one answered our calls. Reporting in Sacramento, Renee Santos, KPIX 5.
I considered him a robber. I had absolutely no thought that he was anything but that. I don't think that he was acting under his total complete consciousness.
Captain Leigh, at this particular time, is satisfied that the individual who sent this piece of shirt in and the letter to the Chronicle was in fact connected with is the person who killed the cab driver. Let me put it that way.
The Zodiac is just making an idle threat, frankly. I think he just wanted to get himself a little publicity. Hey, he's not a brilliant man, but he certainly isn't done.
Yeah, I got a job at the San Francisco Chronicle on September 16th, 1968. About 3 months later, Zodiac struck. It stayed with me until a day about, the late 80s.
we tried several 100,000 incorrect ways of solving the cipher, and just by chance we happened to sort of stumble upon a fragment of how it could be solved, and using that fragment we reverse engineered the entire solution and got the entire message out from the Zodiac.
We have reason to believe that he's a maniac. However, he is a cunning man. He knows just exactly what moves he's going to make. It appears to us that he is killing just for the thrill of killing.
People died in 1996 and 1997. Plus the entire population of the world. About 1% of us survived. Are you going to save us, Mr. Cole? How can I save you? This already happened. I can't save you. Nobody can. Nobody can. I am simply trying to gather information to help the people in the present trace the path of the virus.
And over the years, many people have come forward claiming to know who the Zodiac Killer was. Most notably, in 2007, a man pointed fingers at his stepfather, Jack Torrance, who the FBI actually tried at one point to DNA match with evidence left by the killer. Then there was a woman in 2008 who claimed her father, Guyward Hendrickson, was the actual Zodiac Killer and said that she was with him for 2 of the murders. And then in 2014, a man published a book where he claims his search for his biological father, Earl Van Best Jr., led him to believe that Best was the Zodiac. This latest theory comes less than a year after one of the Zodiac's mysterious ciphers was solved. Last December, a team of amateur code breakers was able to crash the so-called 340 cipher, the code which was mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle back in 1969. It was finally revealed. It said, quote, "I hope you're having lots of fun in trying to catch me. So we reached out to the San Francisco police detectives about today's news, and we were told the department cannot comment because, as far as they're concerned, the case is still ongoing.
San Francisco in the late 1960s, claiming the lives of at least 5 individuals. He sent cryptic messages to the police and media, written in a coded language that only deepened the mystery further. His name is the Zodiac Killer, and he remains a fixture of true crime history to this day.
My name is Dr. Eric Hickey. I'm a criminal psychologist. My areas of interest are sex crimes, homicide, crime scene development, psychopathology, stalking, violent crime.
Since the identity of the Zodiac killer remains unknown, we'll take a look at this killer's behavior and motives to give us a clue on who he really was.
I think the Zodiac, high level of narcissism, really intelligent and wanted some attention. And so by killing these couples, he immediately put them in the spotlight. And he was obviously savvy enough not to get caught.
The FBI has described the Zodiac killer's victims as seemingly random, brutal murders. The first case definitively attributed to the Zodiac killer were the murders of David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen just before Christmas on December 20th, 1968. Reportedly, the Zodiac killer approached the couple in the vehicle, ordering them out of the car at gunpoint. He opened fire on them, killing both before leaving unseen.
I believe that the Zodiac's MO was primarily initially to gain notoriety, to gain attention, and I think it was a power trip for him, feeling that he could just execute people and get away with it.
6 months later, on July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac killer attacked Darlene Farron and Mike Mageau. The manner was very much the same, but this time, Mageau survived, gravely wounded.
Zodiac was not robbing anybody at the time. He simply shot them point blank and then probably watched the news very carefully to see how the news would play it out. And the more the news played it out, the more he got involved, because I think he liked feeling powerful. And he liked playing the games, which he did a lot with the police.
both cases, it very much seemed that the Zodiac's motive was to kill and cause a stir, especially since there was no major torture or sexual sadism involved in the crimes.
The Zodiac case was less gruesome initially because there was no sexual component to it. There was nothing sadistic. There was no body parts taken. There were no trophies, no souvenirs. It was just the actual shootings. And murders were not uncommon in the Bay Area at that time. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to show that what he's doing is a big deal.
However, the third attack would play out very differently. On September 27th, the Zodiac targeted a couple, Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell, in another secluded area. Dressed in an unusual costume that appears to resemble an executioner's hood, he approached the couple and explained he needed money and a car. He then tied the couple up, pulled out a knife, and stabbed them both repeatedly. He also claimed he was a prison escapee. This is the first and only known murder where the Zodiac used a knife.
So the Zodiac ramped up his behavior because he knew it would get him more attention, which it certainly did. The knife is much more personal. Stab somebody than to shoot them. He knew that by stabbing his victims, that would give him more notoriety. He also knew that it would draw more media attention. I think he was very strategic in how he behaved. I think he thought it through carefully. What shall I do next?
This was also the second instance in which one of the victims survived. Like Mike Mageau, Brian Hartnell survived the encounter.
I believe the Zodiac probably was more nervous than sloppy. The Zodiac was not a seasoned killer. I don't think he knew exactly where to stab somebody to get the best results. I think he did it quickly and then to leave so it wouldn't be seen. And so people did survive, not because he wanted them to survive, because he just wasn't very effective as a killer.
The Zodiac would commit his final confirmed murder on October 11th. The Zodiac took a cab and shot driver Paul Stein at point-blank range with a 9mm pistol that did not match the pistol from the Farron murder.
So the Zodiac likes to mix up his MOs. By shooting them and stabbing them, keeps the police off kilter, it impedes investigation, and this is where he started to really toy with the police. It didn't matter to the Zodiac who he killed. He just wanted to get a response from the public. And so by shooting a cab driver, it's not a problem. He could do that and then walk away from it. I mean, this man was taking control of San Francisco.
Throughout the course of these murders, the Zodiac began a correspondence with the police and media that would amplify his reign of terror. Between 1967 and 1974, the Zodiac killer sent more than 20 written communications to the police. In these letters, he revealed details about the crimes that only the killer would know, and gave himself the moniker of the Zodiac Killer.
Here he has contact in the media, which, again, spreads his notoriety throughout the city, throughout the nation, actually. And it became a huge case, and no one could find him. He liked the game, and it's about winning the game, and he was winning. So the first letter that the Zodiac wrote was basically bullshit.
The Zodiac Killer's first cipher was not complicated and was decoded rather quickly by a couple. The cipher, which included misspellings, did not reveal the Zodiac's true identity. Rather, just put forth his menacing agenda, saying, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of all."
He's like poking the bear. What can I do to really keep things moving? He does not want to become irrelevant. He does not want to fade into obscurity.
In his letters, the Zodiac would threaten police if he didn't receive adequate media attention. At one point, he also threatened to blow up the school bus, but he never carried out his threat.
First of all, anybody knows when you read this material, you know that this is all grandstanding. It's got nothing to do with reality. It's about his need for attention. It's interesting about serial killers. Some of them do live in their fantasies, and that's comfort enough for them. Or others, they know they're a big name, and they want to capitalize on that.
The Zodiac sent several ciphers, two of which still remain unsolved today. Most recently, one of the ciphers was solved in 2020 by a team of coders. It said, Most recently, one of the ciphers was solved in 2020 by a team of coders. It said, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise death."
That's just all hyperbole. It's just all meaningless. He just wanted to keep the pot stirred, keep the mystery going. But you gotta admit that he made a code that lasted for many, many years. It wasn't crack.
After the death of victim Paul Stein, the Zodiac killings suddenly stopped.
So the murder suddenly stopped, and no more Zodiac. So he's either incapacitated in a hospital or he's in prison. And there wasn't enough DNA to find him.
How would we profile this killer based on the way he committed his crimes?
To profile the Zodiac, at least from my perspective, when I know of the case, he was somebody who had a reasonably intelligent job where it requires some intelligence. I think he believed he was smarter than law enforcement. He was, apparently. He got away with it. I think he was a man of not respected enough by society, maybe by his family. I think that probably upset him, affected his self-esteem, that he probably felt he deserved more than that, and finally got to be somebody. Proved he could do it and get away with it. So a man that looked around at people and looked down upon people generally. And I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, and I'm going to show you. And sure enough, he did. In reality, he was the lowlife.
Throughout the course of their investigation, the police questioned many persons of interest. Among these, a list of 4 prominent suspects that all seem like they could be the killer in one way or another. They are Richard Gaikowski, Arthur Leigh Allen, Richard Rick Marshall, and Lawrence Kane.
Arthur Leigh Allen died not too long ago. I think he was one of the more prominent suspects.
Arthur Leigh Allen had several interesting circumstances that made him a possible lead. For one, he was reportedly given a Zodiac watch for Christmas in 1967. He wore this up until it was seized during a search warrant carried out in 1991. It's possible this is where he got the name the Zodiac. The logo of the watch is a cross symbol, similar to the Zodiac killer's symbol. After receiving the watch, Allen made several comments to a friend about a book he wanted to write that would play out his fantasies. It involved a killer named the Zodiac, who killed couples at random and taunted police. He was also said to be fascinated with the idea of hunting people. During a police interview in 1971, he referenced the novel The Most Dangerous Game, which was also referenced in one of the Zodiac's letters. The Zodiac left a size 10.5 footprint on the scene. Allen also had a size 10.5 foot, according to a police report. And in 1974, he was arrested and committed to a mental institution after being charged for molesting a child. After his arrest, No further authenticated Zodiac letters were ever received.
He certainly could have been the killer, but there wasn't enough evidence to prove that clearly. I think of all the four, that would probably be the best shot. But when I was pulled in as a consultant on the Unabomber case, Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, the day I was brought in, I was sworn in San Francisco. They said, so we're pretty sure we have the right guy already, but we're going to have you come on anyway just to help us out. But we're 99% sure we have the right guy. Well, they were 100% wrong. Everything fit except this one little piece. They couldn't make it fit because it wasn't him. They thought they had the right guy.
some of the possible internal motivations and machinations behind the Zodiac killer's spree.
When you ask me these questions, I literally put myself in the place of the Zodiac. What would I do as a Zodiac? I do not believe that he was mentally ill. I don't think that he didn't know right from wrong. He absolutely knew exactly what he was doing. This was a hit trip for him. This was a power control issue. He loved the control, and the game he played out was played so well that all these law enforcement officials could not track him down. A true narcissist is someone who, it's all about them. Everything is about them. Some people are narcissistic a little bit, and that's okay, but people who are true narcissists, they have this personality that really can't survive because they always have to be in charge. It's always about them. They'll never be about anybody else but them. He wants to control the city. And by doing that, he creates fear. I can kill people wherever I want to go. I can kill them no matter where it is in the city. You are all at risk. Look out. Here I am. And so he showed I can stab them, I can shoot them, I can be in a cab. You never know when you might get killed. So that created a lot of fear in the city. A lot of pressure on law enforcement. And the more he did, the more he got away with it, the more powerfully he felt. He was not going to get caught. And of course, he never was. I suspect right now he went to his grave. I'd be very surprised if he was still living. I guess I could also add, I think that the Zodiac was a real coward, a very much cowardly man. Fearless in that he didn't care what he did, but he hid. He wanted to be somebody. He wanted to make a name for himself, but he didn't want to go public. He never really wanted to get caught, but he wanted to enjoy the newspapers, the notoriety of being in control of San Francisco. That was one of the major motivations was, look at me, you'll never catch me. I'm so good at what I do. I'm such a coward. Major motivations was, look at me, you'll never catch me. I'm so good at what I do. I'm such a coward. Look at me, you'll never catch me. I'm so good at what I do. I'm such a coward.
He terrorized San Francisco in the late 1960s, claiming the lives of at least 5 individuals. He sent cryptic messages to the police and media, written in a coded language that only deepened the mystery further. His name is the Zodiac Killer, and he remains a fixture of true crime history to this day.
I get asked a lot how covering the Zodiac affects me personally. Notices and emails saying, I've got a tip where I've solved this thing, I can't give you my real name, meet me at a certain place at a certain time and I'll reveal everything. It's stressful. Hi, I'm Kevin Fagan, and I'm a longtime reporter at the San Francisco Chronicle. I've been covering the Zodiac Killer case for about 30 years. I got onto it when I was covering the Unabomber case, and I got a letter from someone saying they thought the Unabomber was the Zodiac. Well, I wrote a story. I can certainly say, no, the Zodiac was not the Unabomber. But once that story ran, my editors said, well, you're now the Zodiac reporter. Today, I'll be going through some tips and theories that came in on Reddit, and I'll give you my reaction. I heard a theory that the Zodiac doesn't actually exist and was actually someone who worked at the newspaper the letters were sent to, who also had access to case files. So the Zodiac murders are actually independent incidents that were all brought together by the Zodiac letters, and the letters were written by a guy at the newspaper. What's your opinion on this? My opinion is that that's ridiculous. It's in the category of other theories where the Zodiac is crazy uncle down the street, the nutball who lives upstairs. No, it's a bunch of cops. No, it's Charlie Manson, the Unabomber again. Sure, you can guess all kinds of things, but that one, absolutely sure. No one in the paper did this. Do you think that cracking these 40-plus-year-old ciphers will actually help to shed light on who the Zodiac Killer was, or do they just serve as interesting pieces of history? I don't know. I know one of the biggest ones has been solved, and it's just crazy ramblings by a killer. You know, I like killing, the most dangerous game is man, you know, yammering on like that. I've had dozens, if not hundreds, of solutions sent to me where people were absolutely sure they've solved it. And the ciphers all lead to this name or that name or another name. Most importantly, the FBI, which is the final word on this in America, only verified a couple of these things.
Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Beautiful, crazy. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Now I'm so high. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Beautiful, crazy. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Now I'm so high. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Beautiful, crazy. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Now I'm so high. Well, I feel like I'm going down, 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 down. Beautiful, crazy. Slow down and relax. You got nothing to hide. Beautiful, crazy. I want you to open up your soul. Listen, listen, listen to me. Beautiful, crazy. I got a little sweet voice in my head. Just beautiful, crazy, beautiful, crazy. Beautiful, crazy. Now I'm so high.
Here's a question that comes up a lot. Where does the majority of this sub lean towards in regard to if you definitely think this case is too old to solve at this point, and if the killer will become lost to history if not already? And I wouldn't just confine it to this sub. I think that's a question that comes up everywhere for people who pay attention to the Zodiac case. It's getting old. Whoever did the killings could still be alive, clearly. And until we reach that point where the killer would be 100 years old, 110 certainly, then you're not going to get a confession unless you find some secret diary somewhere, which people have said they have found, and the authorities are going to confirm any of those, because this comes up quite a bit that someone has done writings saying I am the Zodiac, and police investigators look in it and they can mail it in. So no case is ever really done until it's done. Look at Jack the Ripper. That one's more than a century old and people are still scraping over it. Jack the Ripper is Britain's version of our Zodiac killer. They're really the most enduring, unsolved serial killings for these countries. The bottom line is, yeah, he could be alive, but stopping cold turkey doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the motivation in the brain of a serial killer. Now here's one that I frankly found kind of irritating, and I try not to provoke the Zodiac sleuth community because I think a lot of them are very sincere. Most of them are very sincere about what they're trying to solve and trying to get across. Have you ever seen Ted Cruz and the Zodiac Killer at the same place at the same time? So in other words, is Ted Cruz, the senator, the Zodiac Killer? No. This treats a really serious string of murders as infotainment. You don't make jokes about this stuff. You don't treat it as something to tee-hee about on the internet. No, there are real people who are dead. And everyone who dies in a murder leaves behind a string of relatives and friends who are filled with anguish. It's trauma that goes through generations. Not something to joke about. Doing the Zodiac beat, as it were, is strange. I get hundreds of tips every year from people in the email, phone calls, snail mail, hand-created books. It's astounding to me how much interest there still is in me. That having been said, the newspapers do have an unbidden role in all this stuff. We got letters from the Zodiac. We got a manifesto written by the Unabomber. The big dilemma is, do you run this? Do you want to be the mouthpiece for a killer? It's a real... It's a real tough one, because you're not running the Zodiac letters and the Unabomber letter to, entertain people. It has to be done for the public good. And we don't work in concert with the authorities, with the FBI or the police. Our job is to be a watchdog on those agencies. But when a killer is involved, the public good really takes precedent. And so we do consult with the cops on whether we collectively think it's a good idea to run a letter that is from a killer. That's a very tough decision. It has to help lead to some kind of solution in the crime, or at least try to lead to it. With the Unabomber, the New York Times, Washington Post, and we ran the manifesto that he wrote, which was his diatribe against modern technology. Well, that led to him being busted because his brother and brother's wife read it and said, that's Ted, our brother Ted Kaczynski, led to him being arrested. That wouldn't have happened if that manifesto had not gone out widely. Now, as far as the Zodiac letters, thousands of people think that reading those letters, because they were made public, has led to their solutions. Maybe one of them got it right. I don't know. When the FBI and the police departments say, yes, they got it right, we've solved it, then we know.
Yes, lies
slide down, lick your chops, and I much to say. When you look me in the eyes, all I ask is, don't look away. Nothing to me after all. You're such a loving friend. You never saw the spitefulness in me. Don't speak like you know me anymore. You were hard. You wait for no one. Don't rely on me. Nothing to me after all. You nothing to me after all, after all. Don't think me wrong when I say you should go. Don't think it bad if I go on without you. You are nothing. You are something to me. How could it be? You changed. Why'd you have to change? Nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. Never the same. Nothing is the same. Never the same.
He terrorized San Francisco in the late 1960s, claiming the lives of at least 5 individuals. He sent cryptic messages to the police and media, written in a coded language that only deepened the mystery further. His name is the Zodiac Killer, and he remains a fixture of true crime history to this day.
time to leave. Oh boy, you're bound to die. I met her on the mountain. There I took her life. Met her on the mountain. Stabbed her with my knife.